So I usually start every single episode, as you guys know, those loyal watchers, I start every episode with "All right, welcome to another episode of the All American News Podcast." However, everything is most certainly not all right with us right now. It is indeed, we are indeed very upset with everything's going on, but I am still going to continue on with the introduction like we usually do. My name is Chris Driscoll. I'm joined by my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
H, I just want to say, it's always a pleasure coming on here. This, I think, was the first time ever that I was not excited to do a podcast today. I've had chest pain for about 24 hours now. I'm not having fun. It is not fun.
No, it is not. And we are also joined by our older brother, John Driscoll.
Hey.
Yep, we feel the same way. So, anyway, this is episode 76. There is no NBA player there's no player in NBA history to wear the number 76. I didn't check that this week. I think I checked it last week. I don't think there's any players.
I think there are. I looked up.
Others? Okay.
Yeah, I forget his name, but
okay.
He was a 7'6" guy.
This is the Pope Leo podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about for an hour.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Shout out Pope Leo.
Great American.
Great American. Fellow Catholic. We're very, very happy with the big news of first ever American elected Pope to be for that. So we're very happy about that. We are not, however, happy the fact that he went to Villanova. And
he's from Chicago, and the Mets are playing the Cubs. This is just bad news for us.
Oof.
He's a Sox fan.
Oh, he's a Sox fan? No, I didn't know.
White Sox. I thought it said Cubs.
It came out that said he was a Cubs fan, and then I guess the White Sox, somebody got hold of his brother, and his brother said he's always been a Sox fan.
Oh, cool. All right.
So, interesting.
Very interesting. But Chris, I have a good 76.
Okay. Who is it?
It is a Met legend. He wore it for a season before changing his number to 4. We saw a great moment by him on my birthday against the Mariners. I don't know if
what's your
John,
birthday?
I
forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot that was your birthday.
Shout out Patrick Mazzica and shout out the Gagliardis who were there watching it with us.
That's right. Yeah.
Patrick Mazzica wore 76 when he first came up.
Remember when he had like 3 walk-off swinging bunts?
Yeah, they never left the infield.
So he was the backup catcher. He wore the biggest sports glasses ever. Excuse me. And there's actually this one at bat that stood out to me. I forgot what it was. I do remember actually. They were playing the Marlins. This was when Luis Rojas was still the manager of the Mets. In that short stint. It was 2020 and 2021. But I just remember the Mets were losing to the Marlins. And I forgot who the backup catch. I forgot who the starting catcher was at the time. I'm drawing a blank here, but it was someone that just wasn't that good. So especially against whichever a lefty or whatever. So I remember watching it with Dad, and then he's like, oh, they're really gonna bring up the catcher's coming up right now. I forgot whatever his name is. I'm like, oh no, they're pinch hitting him. We're like, oh, pinch hitting. Oh, is it gonna be JD Davis, who was the best player on the bench? Which don't get me wrong, JD Davis was by no stretch an all-star, but he was better than Patrick Mazzica. Oh, I just remember that was one thing that happened. That's one of the other memories. So Patrick Mazzica he had some very clutch moments, but just not a good baseball player. But however, did have one of our favorite memories as a Mets. It is also the Taze Moore episode, who currently wears 76 for the Portland Trail Blazers. He was a rookie last year, and also
he appeared in 4 games this year.
Was that few games? Yeah, okay. And then also Sean Bradley, who played for the Philadelphia 76ers from 1994 to 1996. So, yeah.
You know why I wore 76, Chris?
Well, because the 76ers.
Sean Bradley. No, because he was 7'6".
Oh, okay.
He was 7'5" or whatever, but
interesting. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. Cool. All right. So we've covered the Pope, we've covered Mets and other legends to wear the episode 76. But yeah, now let's get into the thing we don't want to talk about at all. But however, it's a basketball podcast, and we're looking to make it big one day, and we're gonna have some uncomfortable episodes eventually. If Bill, I don't even think that Bill Simmons recorded today, but if if like someone along those lines is able to record after a brutal loss, then we can too. So anyway, we'll get the tough one out of the way. We'll start off with Celtics Knicks. The Celtics are currently down 2-0 to the Knicks in the second round of the playoffs. So, and both games unfortunately occurred where they blew two 20-point leads, both of them like about halfway, a little less than halfway, or like a little more than halfway through their third quarter. So there have been moments where they looked pretty good, very good actually, but however, it unfortunately has not outweighed the bad, especially when you factor in expectations as well. Unfortunately, there's a lot to unpack. But Matt, I was wondering what your takeaway is from what your main takeaway is from watching both these games.
So I believe when we predicted the series for Celtics Knicks, did we all say 6?
I said 5.
You said 5?
I said 5. Yeah.
Did John and I say 6?
John was not on the podcast for this one, I don't think.
I believe I said 6, correct?
Okay. Yeah, you may have. Yeah, I think you did say 6. Honestly,
we can check our brackets. I think we can check the brackets.
The brackets don't have the numbers on them, I don't believe.
The
screenshot that I took doesn't have it, at least.
My point was that a lot of Knick fans that I was talking about this series did not have any expectations at all. A couple of them were like, it's going to be a sweep, like you guys handle us, the Celtics handle us in the regular season. A couple of them were like 5. And I think all of us, I mean, Chris, you picked the Celtics in 5, but I think the Knicks have truly turned a page, especially since Mitchell Robinson has been back. They're not the same team from the regular season at all. I mean, time and time again in the playoffs, we see that the regular season does not matter. And I feel like as a collective podcast, I mean, Chris, you picked them in the Celtics in 5. So, but I feel like we thought the series was going to be closer than people thought.
I figured the Celtics would win in 5, but yes, I was well aware that it was going to be much. It wasn't going to be like the 3 blowouts of games that they had yet. But I knew it was going to be closer. But unfortunately, I was wrong about the in 5 part.
Okay, so I'm gonna rattle off a couple takes here. Sorry if I take all your guys' talking points. So I'm sure everyone's seen Celtics are 25 for 100 from 3 within the first 2 games. That can't continue, right? We said it can't happen in game 2. Like that can't continue for 4 games, right? Like you wouldn't think so. I hate the hack of Mitchell Robinson. I absolutely hate it. It's unethical hoops. And Chris, you said the basketball gods don't exist because of Draymond Green's success in the league. I think it does on a small scale because hack of Mitch is it's a like smart move. Like it works. It gets him off the floor, but it's unethical. It's unethical. It's not basketball. I'm not a big fan of it. Joe Mazzulla, we are a big Joe Mazzulla guy, big Joe Mazzulla podcast. We're a believer in him. I believe he's a top 5 coach in the league. He's been outcoached by Thibodeau, I would say. The Celtics, I mean, it's easy to say this when they lose the 2 games and, the team shoots 25% from 3 in both games. But I think if you blow 2 20-point leads at the end of the third quarter for 2 straight games, I think the coach is partially to blame. I said it earlier, the Knicks defense looks awesome the first couple games. The Celtics held the Knicks to 91 points last night and they lost. That's unbelievable. You never see that. And my last take is the Brunson clutch gene is very real. I am scared when Brunson has the ball in the fourth quarter. Reggie Miller, if you didn't hear it, he calls him the closer like a million times a game. He needs to come up with some air at points during the broadcast, but it's very real. I'm very scared of Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter. Obviously all great points there. There's just so much you can dissect about the series. Everything has gone wrong. John, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you have some more to say, but there's I feel like the only positive thing that's come out of the series so far is Drew Holiday being pretty efficient on offense, but even then he's at his couple of moments as well to where he switches Al onto he switches on defense, which is what they've been doing, but I feel like you should be a little more
willing to like fight through screens when you're the one guarding Jalen Brunson, then it's a 38-year-old Al Horford back. But then again, Horford has a history of being pretty good off switches. But I don't know what your thoughts on everything, John.
I have a lot to say.
Go ahead.
But let's start off with the main issue here, which, you know what? It's easy to say the main issue. I think there are a lot of main issues here, but let's call it what it is. The shooting splits are unbelievable.
Oh, it's so bad.
They are unbelievable. The only one who is like shooting a good clip from the field is also shooting 22% from three. Drew Holiday is shooting 55% from the field. Sick. Love that. Drew is the only one who's consistently showing up on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, he's shooting 22%, which I think happens in the playoffs, especially over the course of 2 games. Guys are going to go cold from three, but you can see he's still making an impact. That's a veteran champion. That's a veteran player. Let's just run through really quick. I'm not even going to focus on the 3-ball because I am a realistic fan. I'm a realistic Celtics NBA fan. I understand that through 2 games, you are going to sometimes have a tough time knocking down the 3-ball. It happens to everybody, but the good teams bounce back and they find other ways to win. The problem is what they're shooting from 2 and just from the field in general.
Yep.
Al Horford, 23.5% from the field. Kristaps Porzingis, he's the only one shooting 100% from 3 because he's 1 of 1 because he's played 6 minutes in the past 2 games. He's shooting 33% from the field. Jaylen Brown, 35% from the field. Jason Tatum is a top 5 player in this league. He's shooting 28% from the field. 28. His average over 2 games, they average it together, is 6 of 21. Yikes. Derek White, who is one of the more consistent players in the NBA, 34% from the field. Oh, actually, I didn't give enough credit. I said Drew Holiday is the only one showing up. Luke Cornett is showing up.
Ooh,
yes,
3% from the field. I know he's like doing tip backs and stuff. He deserves more minutes. If you you can't burn 12. We'll talk about this later in the fourth quarter. Al Horford played 12 minutes. Al Horford's like 65 years old. He cannot play 12 straight minutes.
He looked it too. He looked tired.
And he should. You know what?
Yeah.
This isn't Al Horford at 33 with a 22-year-old Jason Tatum where he's got to carry them along when they're going through these stretches. These guys are 27 and 28 years old. This is their prime. This is when this is like the Ninja Turtles meme. This is when they carry Al Horford. Al Horford shot 0 for 5, 0 for 6 from 3 last night. How much like blame can you put on him? You know, he's guarding pretty well. He keeps getting switched on to Brunson as much as they try not to. He's doing what he can. Honestly, on his switch-ons to Brunson last night, he did pretty well, pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Pritchard, 40% from the field, 36% from 3. Again, not horrible, still not what you want. And then Sam Hauser, I don't even think people want to say oh, the Celtics have injuries, they're missing Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser was a non-factor, and he continues to be a non-factor. I think if he wasn't so cheap, they'd ship him tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because in game 1, especially in the fourth quarter, they left a lot to be desired on the defensive end. And in game 2, I felt that for 95% of the game, their defense was outstanding. Drew did an awesome job on Jalen Brunson. Bridges was a non-factor until that little stretch run he had. Bridges won them the game essentially. And my question is, where's the urgency? Bridges goes on a 7-0 run himself and then has 11 over the course of 4 minutes. And everyone's just turn the ball over. You're bitching and moaning to the refs. You're not running back on defense. All of this, there's so many more things to dissect, and I'm sure we're going to cover it all. It comes down to one thing. You choked and you got punked. And this is a team. This is a core. I know they added Drew and KP last year, but Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Derek White, these guys have been together for, at the minimum, 3-4 years, all the way up to 7 or 8 years. You won the championship last year. You are the heavy favorite to come out of the East. I know the Cavs are there too, but Like, you're the defending champion. You ran through the East last year. You pretty much barely broke a sweat. Why are you playing scared and soft? Why do the Knicks look like the confident team? You are getting, completely bitch up and down the court. Mikal Bridges, game 1, rips the ball away from Jaylen Brown. Nothing said. Nothing's done about that. Last night, he blocks Tatum which was the most ridiculous last-second shot of all time.
He was trying to pass it.
I'm not saying, like, be dirty or anything like that, but, like, maybe put this guy on his ass. Do something. There's no fight. There's no, like, scrappiness. There's no Marcus Smart or, like, any of these guys. They kind of just rely on their talent, which is, like, admirable in a way because they're so talented they can just play basketball. But when you run into a team like the Magic, played physical with them, and they just kind of out-talented them again. They didn't punch back. The Knicks are a similar way of the Magic where they're not as physical, but they're a lot more talented. And there are times where, the young, scrappy underdog team is going to hit you in the mouth a couple times. And the Celtics really do not have, like, the biggest dog on this team is Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
And I think sometimes that gets in the way because he just has, like, these moments where it's just like, what are you thinking? What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's frustrating. I think, like I said, there's a number of things that we could touch on and talk about, and we will. But at the end of the day, you let the Knicks come into your house and just completely dominate you in the fourth quarter, nonetheless. And I'm going to kick it to somebody else here because we have to talk about how the Celtics dominated for a massive chunk of both games, and then they just got absolutely dismantled in the fourth quarter. Just so mentally weak.
I think they have led for, I think it was 81 minutes of the series. The Celtics.
Sounds right.
It's a lot of minutes to lead to be down 0-2. They needed to have one bad fourth quarter, and the series would be tied. It'd be tied 1-1. It's just unacceptable play. I mean, I get it's a make or miss league, and that's what the Celtics have been doing. They've been missing. I'm not a stop shooting the three guy. I think they're very open looks. I think you're just missing it. Jason Tatum has to play better. It comes down to, John kind of touched on it with his shooting splits. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know I have to play better. Like, he's taking accountability. And I get, the Knicks are defending him very well. He's trying to hunt Jalen Brunson. They kind of went away from it in the fourth quarter. I don't know why, but Brunson, like, held his own. Like, they're settling for contested mid-ranges on him. There was a couple clips of that today of Jalen Brown settling for contested mid-range on him. Tatum bailed him out, obviously, in game 1 with 2 back-to-back step-back threes. You can't be in these top 5, top 3 conversations if you're having these games in the playoffs more than once. Everyone's inclined for a stinker here and there, but they can't be this consistently. I mean, game 1 in the Magic series, he did not play well, and now it's game 1 and 2. He's got to respond, and he's got to play great now for the rest of the series. He can't just, be impactful, be solid Jason Tatum. He has to be the best version of himself for the Celtics to win the series. Like John said, it's not the same run as last year where they played lesser teams. They had some injury luck. Like, the Knicks are a very, very solid team, and everyone has to play well. Also, another point, can we get something from Kristaps Porzingis? They're not going to win this series if Kristaps Porzingis is injured. They're not going to win this series if he's coming out and looking horrible. His minutes were
just be out. Like
yeah.
Game plan. If you're going into this game with a game plan that Kristaps is going to play 20 minutes and we can work him in here, and then he plays 12, and then it's just like a no-show, it messes up everything. If you can go into a game knowing, okay, we don't have Kristaps, let's focus on what we can do without him.
The Luke Cornett minutes. Why are we, like, just fully extending Al? Like, give some minutes to Luke Cornett. I get it's the playoffs and everything, but he was one of the most impactful players besides Drew last night.
I wanted him closing last night.
I think Matt McCann said it in our group chat. He's not. It's a totally different look on offense because he's not hovering around the 3-point line. He's not, an offensive threat, but he's hovering in the dunker spot. And if on these drives, which Tatum was driving more last night. Brown is obviously driving when they get the switch on Brunson. He's
Mhm.
kind of hovering there for like a bailout. And a couple
Yeah.
times last night, he caught it right under the rim and just went up and under and laid it up with the right. Like it's
Yeah.
such a good valve to have.
Mhm.
And obviously, he's very good on the defensive end as well. But I don't know.
Jason Tatum, and I got this from something that, I was staring up at my bedroom ceiling last night at 2:45 in the morning because I could not fall asleep because the game ended before 10 o'clock. I ran to the shower, showered, hopped into bed, turned the lights off because I was like, I want to go to bed, and I could not because I was so wired. I was so and then every time I would be close to falling asleep, I'd grab my phone and go on Twitter and I'd see something that pissed me off, and I would just be up and wired. And I was listening to a live reaction podcast, whatever you want to call it, and they said it best. Jason Tatum last night, because he wasn't good in game one, but he wasn't horrendous.
Awful.
He was
Yeah.
horrendous last night.
Mhm.
And he played, like they said, he played like someone who's heard the noise, who heard you're settling for threes, you're taking too many threes, blah, 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 blah. And I wish he heard you're taking too many step back threes on lesser defenders.
Yep.
Instead, because he passed up a good chunk of pull up threes off of a screen. And instead, he passes those up, drives, for some reason bails out of the drive. He's like Jason Tatum, before these two games, meets anyone at the rim. Peak Giannis, defensive player of the year, MVP Giannis, he was itching to get to the rim and dunk on him. Now it's you see Mitch and Karl Anthony Towns guarding the rim, and it's just he kind of drives and then peels out and takes these 11-foot turnaround mid-range jumpers. And it's that's what the Knicks want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to either not get to the rim and get a layup. That's the third thing you should want to do. Taking threes is a far better shot than that. Even if I'm going to be a slightly less efficient shot, it's worth 3. So it's worth the risk when you, I don't know. It's honestly, a 3 might be a more efficient shot than some of those turnarounds because
absolutely are.
Understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, I, after game one, I was just getting so frustrated by the 3-point discourse, just because people don't know what they're talking about regarding it. People they're going to miss threes, unfortunately, and that's how it is. And we could talk. We talked about Joe Mazzulla a little bit. We could talk more about him in a second. But you built the system and you won 60 games. So you won 64 games in the championship last year, and then you won 60 games with it this year. You're going to trust the system and then hope that it works. But last night, every single time they missed a 3, it was another missed 3 by Boston. It was just so annoying, especially from Reggie and Harlan. Which I said last night. Reggie Miller is one of the best 3-point shooters of all time. I don't know what he's complaining about. And excuse me. But I said last night, when they missed their third or fourth 3 in a row, I think eventually when you miss so many threes in a row, you do have to actually make a play and then try slow down the pace, try to take it to the rim. I'm not saying I'm not the guy to say oh, you need to cut some threes out of the game and hit some more twos. I'm saying if you're on a cold streak, you need to slow the game down and then try to take it to the rim, and maybe get to the line as well, which I know it's tougher to get to the line in the playoffs, but I would say last night they definitely should have slowed the game down, especially when they went on that 21-2 run, or however big the deficit was. That's when the Knicks were moving it too fast. We need to they should have slowed the game down. That was one of my big takeaways from the fourth quarter last night. And then obviously another one of the takeaways, as Matt said, we love Joe Mazzulla. I think he's in talks to be top 5, definitely. And some people would even say, I know Dan Greenberg would probably even say top 3. He hasn't been showing it. He hasn't been showing it this series at all. It's just I understand, but not wanting to call timeout in certain situations. You want your players to try to figure it out. That those don't come when you're those moments should not come when it's late in the fourth quarter, when Jason Tatum is clearly about to get double teamed, when there's 6 seconds left, and you're just totally just keeping your hands in your pocket and just I saw Tatum dribbling down the left lane, and then 6 seconds left, in comes the double team of McHale and OG. it was brutal to see, and it was just yeah, like I don't even know how to describe it, but it was excuse me, yeah, it was. Yeah, like it was definitely just at the very least like a brain fart moment from Joe, and this isn't the first time that happened. It also happened in 2023 as well when it was Game 4, I think, when the Celtics played the Sixers, and Marcus Smart got got the shot and made the shot, but like he just missed it, like they weren't able to get the shot off. So I just feel like this was definitely something that Joe should have learned his lesson from, and he hasn't. So I don't know. Like, obviously, I still believe in Joe Mazzulla and everything regarding him. But this hasn't been a good look on him.
Awful Joe game. I mean,
yeah.
And I think the biggest, because I can almost look past not calling a timeout on the last possession. Mm-hmm. If you think Tatum's going to kind of get through and find like a hole to get a shot off, like it's very like, because he did get past Robinson and kind of fumbled the handle a little bit.
Right.
And then he dribbled right into Bridges and OG, which is ridiculous. But if you kind of think that he's going to like maybe snap it back or go the other way, like it's very quick, you know, and you don't want to be the guy who calls a timeout and then have Tatum hit some like ridiculous shot. Should he have called the timeout? Yes. But it's like, you know, it's tough to go too deep on that. The hack of Mitchell Robinson thing is the most egregious thing I've seen in a while.
It's so bad.
You do the hack of Shaq, you do the hack of Mitchell Robinson. You do that when they're in the bonus.
Mm-hmm.
When
it makes no sense.
Line.
Mm-hmm. It's to get
at 2:43 left in the game. The Celtics are up 4, and the Knicks, and they have 2 team fouls. They give 2 away right there to Mitchell Robinson. They check OG Anunoby back in the game, which. Is that what you wanted, really? Because Mitchell Robinson's like a plus 19? That's not – it's such a small sample size. And then you kind of take away Drew Holiday's ability to foul Jalen Brunson on that last possession.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Jalen Brunson starts that, and you foul him with like 15 seconds left, they got to go start again. And then who knows? It's just that's why you leave yourself with fouls to give.
Yeah,
I loved in Game 1 doing the hack on Mitchell Robinson because they were in the bonus and he went 3 of 10 from the line. But what's the benefit of doing that when he's not even going to the line?
It was to like get him off the floor, but I still don't understand that. Like I get he's very, very impactful, but like he would be guarding. Like I get he would be switched on Tatum at some points, and he's like defending the rim, but he's guarding Al Horford. Like. OG Anunoby checks in the game. He's the primary defender on Jason Tatum now. Like, it's just such a...
Yeah, makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
OG Anunoby is better than Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, he's way better. He's very... OG Anunoby's very good.
Yeah. Get him out to bring in a better player? Like,
but I will say, the Knicks defense has looked very, very good, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, obviously, the first 3 quarters, the Celtics have like, really, really owned them and shown that why... they went undefeated against them in the regular season, but when it's clutch time, and I forget who said this. I'm trying to think of who said it, but clutch plays. Oh, it might have been OG Chris. Clutch plays is not just scoring in the in the fourth quarter. It's making the right read. It's grabbing rebounds, and it's defending. And the Knicks have made every single clutch play that they've had to make, and the Celtics have really made 0. The Celtics were like 1-3 away from putting that game away. In the last 2 minutes, and they just could not hit it. They could not make it. And I mean, make or miss league, we say that all the time, but it's just tough look for the Celtics.
It killed me this morning. It was KFC, another Knicks, like which like our close Knicks friends have been very classy about this victory. I just want to make that clear. And that includes our fantasy group chat, and also includes it also includes my friends from high school, my personal friends from high school. Those casual Knicks fans, the ones that do not check in every game, they have been the worst ever, and it makes scrolling through social media worse than it's ever been before, and that's including election season as well. Like this was worse than election season. I can tell you that. I'm not explaining to you. I'm not going to give details there, but I think we all know what we're talking about. But KFC, who is a big Mets guy, we love listening to his stuff on the Mets, but. and most recently his take on the Pope. And wasn't expecting him to give his take on the Pope election as well. But but like he tweeted out a picture of like Tatum dribbling, like when he picked up the ball, and he was surrounded by OG and McHale, who the Knicks brought in to shut down Tatum. That like, and he said like this is why the Knicks traded for these two guys. It made my entire body just shut down. I was like, oh my god, like he's yeah, like this is exactly why they did that, and it makes the situation a million times worse.
Yeah, but like Tatum is missing wide open looks.
Mm-hmm.
How many like, and I feel like a lot of the times when he's missing contested shots, it's on switches.
Probably, yeah.
Like, and it sucks because like the moments, the highlighted moments that everyone's going to focus on are like the last second shots or the last couple possessions when these guys just like, you know, Bridges blocking him last night. Like I just feel like to just for like Knicks fans or NBA fans, just be like, this is why the Knicks brought in OG Anunoby and Bridges. Like it's 2 games. It's such a small sample size. Like, were you saying that over the last like 2 years when Tatum was kind of frying them every chance he got?
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a small sample size. The problem is that small sample size is like when the lights are brightest. So like, like they have, you know, gained the right to talk shit that way, but I just don't see it as like that accurate. And I don't like, and we said it in our group chat, like Jason Tatum deserves every single bit of slander coming his way, but it does suck that he's coming off one of the better postseason or one of the better playoff series of his career.
Yep.
As a whole. And, you know, that 4 game, and it was more like 3 games, but that 3-game stretch of elite basketball is totally negated because you have a bunch of like, you know, casual NBA fans that can't wrap their heads around like this. Like everyone, that's the problem now is everyone looks at these 2 games and like, oh, that's Jason Tatum. It's like, it's really not, but like, it sucks that you think that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like obviously, when we don't hang out in the Celtics locker room, but like I do have a feeling that the 2 people that Jason Tatum would benefit the most from having a long conversation with are Al Horford, the veteran leader. You know, the 2 of them respect each other a ton. Tatum has said multiple times that Al Horford is his favorite teammate of all time. I have a really good feeling that the 2 of them are going to have a long conversation. And I also hope that Jason Tatum has a conversation with Drew Hanlon as well, his trainer, who has made Tatum. No, I
was just shaking my head at Drew Hanlon in general.
Okay, yeah. Well, like Tatum has definitely, yeah. He's someone that he's looked up to the most. He's someone that has made Tatum the best version of himself. Yeah, I'm shaking my head at Drew Hanlon too because he hasn't responded to the invite of to the pod yet. But yeah, like. I don't get me like I'm very confident that the Celtics can come back from this 2-0 series. It's very discouraging, but they can do it. It was actually Drew Hanlon who tweeted it out that pretty much every single year since 2018, within the exception of the maybe 2017, actually not definitely 2017 because the Celtics did it themselves in 2017 against the Bulls, has come back from down to 2-0. The one exception is in 2020, which really doesn't count because like he's like the crowd doesn't factor in, which like granted that doesn't really matter in this context, but I have full confidence that the Celtics can do this. They've even though they haven't faced a ton of adversity in the past 2 years, it's not foreign to them at all. They were down 3-2. They were obviously down 3-0 against the Heat. They came back, pushed it to Game 7. They were down 3-2 against the Sixers in the round before that. They won that series. Down 3-2 against the Bucks in 2022. There's a couple more that I'm thinking of that I'm drawing a blank towards. But like yeah, and then Jaylen Brown himself, that he was the only person on the team from 2017, but he really was getting a ton of minutes then. But all in all, this team can do this. They're not facing adversity isn't new to them. They've won a championship, and at the very least, they're not going down without a fight. And I have full confidence that the team can do this. I think we covered everything, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I just have one more thing to say. I
I
think
think I have one more thing after you as well, but yeah, go ahead.
okay, yeah. I would just say that. Well, I do also agree. I have the full confidence that they can kind of climb back in this series because they're one of the best road teams in the NBA. It's almost hilarious how much better they are on the road. Um, Actually, I have one more thing to go off of this.
Okay.
All these Knicks fans saying, "Oh, the Garden's going to be crazy on Saturday." Yeah, I hope so. It's a playoff basketball game. Can we stop acting like Madison Square Garden is the only arena that sells out for playoff basketball games? I digress. The problem I have, and I think, if I were to sit here and make a prediction, I'm going down with the ship, right? I'm not going to be like, it's over. I'm not going to back
Obviously.
out. I'm going to say the Celtics are going to, even this up in New York, and then we're going to go back to Boston. They'll probably lose in Boston, and then they're going to win the next two. No, I don't. But anyway, I think you just have to take it one game at a time, right? And the issue, the thing that's like making me anxious as a Celtics fan is the fact that while it's while I think it's not likely, but it could happen that they win 2 in New York or they play a lot better, the margin for error is so small now. Mm-hmm. So like you go into New York, say you play a much better game, which I think like they have to play better. Like there's no other way they go. But like game 3, what if you play a great game, but the Knicks shoot the lights out from 3? Your season's over. You know, it's one of those things where you can't, like, this is why you can't fall back this much because the margin for error. This is why, like, if you go up 2-0 in Boston, you go to New York, the Knicks shoot 53% from 3. All right, that happens. It's like kind of pack it up. But now it's like that stuff can, like, you not only have to improve on offense, you have to maintain this defensive intensity that you did in game 2. That being said, I do have all the faith in the world in our guys. I think with last year's championship and all the playoff success before that, they've earned a little bit of grace. And if they don't, there'll be some tough conversations this offseason. But, we'll cross that bridge if it ever comes.
I have a take as well. Not really a take, just kind of another stat. The Knicks are 5-0 on the road this year in the playoffs.
No,
and I know the Detroit was a 6th seed. They're a young, inexperienced team, but Detroit, the atmosphere was very crazy. I mean, it's a playoff game, like John said. Obviously, it's gonna be crazy, but they were a tough 6 seeds to beat. Especially, you beat them 3 times on the road. It's not just beating them once or twice. But I really credit the Knicks. This is the best I've seen them play all year. A lot, like, all the credit goes to the Knicks. All the slander goes to the Celtics, obviously. Last night they go down 20. They're already up 1-0. They could have, packed their bags and been like, all right, we did our job. 1-1. We stole a game. We stole home court, but they kept their foot on the gas and they ended up pulling out a victory. That's it says a lot about them and it says a lot about their coaching and their team. So all the credit to the Knicks.
Matt's birthday is on Wednesday. Game 5 would be on Wednesday. There is no way that the Celtics season is ending before Celtics. If any of you watch this pod, do not end this. Do not finish this. Yes, come on. First of all, second of all, actually no. That's second of all. First of all, focus on your season. First of all, do not let that season be finished by Wednesday. We don't want Matt to be upset on his birthday. We also don't want them to lose do want them to lose in 5 games as well. First of all, if you lose in 5 games to the Knicks, that's already ridiculous in of itself, but especially for personal reasons. But 1 week from today, I'm hoping that the Celtics can be either up 3-2 or down 3-2 against the Knicks, and I have full confidence that they can do that. So anyway, I have a feeling that we definitely won't be diving into the other series as much. But however, we do have 3 more series to dive into. First one is another series, which is big time upsets. That is the Cavs versus the Pacers. Cavs, who won 64 games this year, are down 2-0, and they just lost in absolute brutal fashion on what day was that? Tuesday. Tuesday. First of all, they were without 2 of their second and third best player, in addition to who else was that besides
DeAndre Hunter?
DeAndre Hunter, and their 6th man, I should say. So their star Donovan Mitchell, who obviously my favorite non-Celtic in the league, went off for 49 points. It was like one of the best games. Like I would say, other than last year's game 6 against the Magic, which they lost also as well. It was one of the best games that I've ever seen him play. Chess for him to have a really tough stretch. I don't even know. I completely forgot. Like I think they were up 8 with less than 2 minutes left. They just totally shot themselves in the foot. And Tyrese Halliburton, who's another one of my favorite players in the league, just completely dominated down the stretch. The Pacers missed a free throw, and they were able to get the rebound back. Halliburton with a step back 3 to steal the game. So it's just been really fun basketball to watch. But just obviously. Yeah. If I'm a Cavs, if I'm a Cavs fan, I don't even. Yeah, like obviously you can argue. We can argue which loss is worse. But if I'm being honest, I think the way that the Cavs lost is more embarrassing than the way the Celtics lost. But I don't know if you have any takeaways on either of those games, Matt.
I think comparing whose loss is worse is never mind that. I don't know if I would get canceled for that reference about being the tallest short person. Little person. That's the term I was going to use.
Yes.
This Cavs team is a very, very solid team. That a lot of people call them the 2015 Cavs, which I disagree with. I think they're significantly better than the 2015 Cavs.
Hawks.
What was I saying? Oh, Cavs. Yeah, 2015 Hawks. My fault. The Pacers are such a good team. They've been playing elite basketball since the All-Star break. Pascal Siakam in Game 2 scored 8 points.
Oh,
or 12 points, something like that. I think it's 8. Or he took 8 shots and scored 12 points, I believe it was.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a full team effort every time they come out on the floor. Aaron Nesmith, Celtic legend, had 23 points in Game 2, and he shot the lights out, and he's a solid defender. Miles Turner had a great game. Andrew Nembhard's one of the biggest playoff risers I've ever seen. It's unbelievable the different level he gets to compared to his regular season. And Tyrese Halliburton is really shutting up everybody that has talked smack about him the past couple of years. His second half, obviously in 2024, he got a lot of slack and a lot of slander, which was warranted. He really was not playing to the potential that we saw him play in the first half of the year. But this year, he really started off the entire year. He's been playing well. He is now 10 of 11 in go-ahead shots, in game-winning shots this year. That is such a crazy number. 10 of 11. He's unbelievably clutch. He is doing it on the biggest stages in the NBA playoffs. He drove by Giannis to win the series, and then he just he had a 3 to beat the 1 seed to go up 2-0, bringing it back to Indiana. So, all the credit to the Pacers. They're playing hard. They're a bunch of dogs. They're truly a very good team. If the Celtics come back and somehow beat the Knicks this series and they end up playing the Pacers, I'll be very, very nervous because the Pacers are a very, very good team.
Yeah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head for a lot of that. Celtics fans have been giving the Pacers respect since last Eastern Conference Finals. That was the most stressful sweep I've ever experienced. But it's also one of those things like I know everyone says like losing 2 games at home, it's like very, very tough to come back and win that series. Would it be outrageous if both the Cavs and the Celtics did that? I don't think it's outrageous to say that. And I just think last year we kind of saw it. I know the Nuggets ended up losing the series, but they took that to 7, right? Like they lost 2 at home and then they won 2 in Minnesota. I think and Chris, I think you mentioned something about it like a couple months back where it's like home court advantage really isn't what it used to be.
No.
You know why? Because they have all these billionaires sitting in the front row seats, and it's not as, I don't think that's really the reason. But I just think that it's part of the reason, sure. Yeah. But I also just think that some of these guys, like not to go back on the Celtics, but they play better on the road. I just I don't know what it is. It's a pretty bizarre phenomenon, but I think while home court advantage is obviously an advantage, I don't think it's as like the 86 Celtics lost like 1 game at home. I don't think anybody's doing that anymore. The 2016 Warriors aren't, walking through that door. I think teams on one side of the coin aren't as good at home and are also a lot better on the road. And I think that's just the way the league is right now. Now, is it likely that the Eastern Conference Finals is Pacers Knicks? Yeah, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think a lot of teams just kind of take it one game at a time now, which is the right way to look at it, right? Because you can't. If the Celtics walk into Game 3 and win by 90, they don't give you an extra win there. It's only one win, so you just have to kind of take it as it goes, and take it game by game. But not to harp on what Matt said earlier, but really impressed by how the Pacers are playing. I think the Cavs, everyone expected the Cavs to kind of roll through this series, except for Celtics fans, because we know how good the Pacers are.
Yep.
So
Game 3 is tomorrow. I'm not sure if Mobley or Garland's gonna be back. I'm assuming that Garland isn't gonna be back because I think they said like week or two for him. But Evan Mobley is, in my opinion, he became a top 20 player this year, and is absolutely essential to anchor the Pacers defense and just like clog the lane for them and force them into tough threes rather than like efficient shots inside the paint. And that's just it also especially goes Jared Allen becomes a much better defender when Mobley's on the floor as well. So it's just extremely impactful. But I respect both these teams a ton, and both teams are more than deserving to make the Eastern Conference Finals. So we spent 39 minutes talking about the Celtics. So we spent 7 minutes talking about the Cavs. So, very
Gun to your head, who wins that series? Pacers or Cavs?
Pacers in 6. I'm gonna say.
Pacers in 6. Okay.
Pacers, yeah. Shout out Donovan Mitchell. Another guy who's welcome on the pod. But
come on, we'll talk about the Mets.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of which, this really pissed me off. Which it's very justifiable, by the way, but like it still did piss me off. So CAA Sports, who's the agency for like a lot of these businesses, who was it?
Brody Van Wagenen was CAA agent.
Was he? Okay. And as is my roommate James Ouches, who designed this logo right behind us. He works for them right now. He's a graphic designer for them. So I looked up like a bunch of their guys that like have them. So like one of them being Doc Rivers. I'm like he would be a really, really cool guest. See, like he's great when he's on Simmons. Obviously he's won a championship with the Celtics and everything. So at the very least, I just emailed them. I said like, hey, like I host my own podcast. And like I'm a fan of like a lot of your guys that you sponsor. If blah blah blah. They sent me an automatic email back saying like, okay, we don't know what you just said, but however, like we don't do podcasts unless you give us like a boatload of money. I'm like, okay, screw that. Yes,
they should pay us for talking about them right now. No
I agree.
Ads.
Yeah, I agree. But like I feel like we're going to use we're going to find our way in personally rather than go through agencies at this point, because it obviously does make sense that an agency would be looking to fleece us. But so up next we got the Thunder versus the Nuggets. I don't think I've ever seen a faker win than Game 1. The Nuggets beating the Thunder. Obviously, like I know that like some people were saying like, okay, so this could be a sign of OKC's weakness. Obviously, they're very young. Shea's game could not translate that great against better teams, especially more experienced teams, like a championship team like the Nuggets. The Nuggets totally outdueled them down the stretch. And though the Nuggets like don't have like an official head coach, like it still does or they do have that coach, but just he's not like their full-time head coach yet. It still feels like that the Nuggets were the more prepared team because they're just so much more experienced. But the Nuggets ends up winning Game 1 just for them to get absolutely punched in the face, and not just punched in the face, but beaten the crap out of after getting punched in the face. Jokic fouling out in the third quarter, which he did that on purpose, by the way. Easily some of the if I'll be honest, I watched like maybe like a grand total of 5 minutes, and I'm not even talking about 5 of the 40 minutes. I'm talking about 5 minutes including stops. So because it was a bad game, and B, because I was just too bummed to watch any basketball after that. But Matt, I don't know, any takeaways in this series, or what adjustments either team can make.
So obviously Game 1, heartbreaking ending for the Thunder to do it on your home floor when you had, I think, 7 days off, and the Nuggets had 1 day off to prepare and rest. It's a championship level response in Game 2. The Thunder have the entire season have put up historic numbers both on the offensive end and the defensive end, and they really showed it in game 2. I think in game 1, Chris Jokic had 44 and something, right?
It was like 40, 20, and 8 or something, like 7, like
Some,
something like that.
something
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they adjusted fully to him. He had 6 fouls and 6 turnovers by the time he fouled out in the third quarter. I think he only ended with 16 points or something like that.
Yeah.
So they truly limited him. Even though he is the best in the world, he is due for a stinker here and there. But I do think the Thunder are have to be given credit with how they defended him and how they responded to a heartbreaking loss. So showed a lot of resilience, and this team is very, very, very good.
Yeah, man, I think you said it best. Championship level response. SGA was a plus 51 last night. He got to the line 11 times, which obviously was the first thing I looked at. But other than that, he went 11 of 13 from the field. He was unbelievable. And again, it's the response we expected the defending champion Celtics to have. Not maybe to win by 90 points, but to come out and kind of stamp and solidify that we're still the team to beat. And that's what the Thunder did. I mean, it was credit to them. It's I think last year there was like their coming out party, and they had an early exit, and instead of kind of getting nervous and scared after dropping a tough game 1, they came out and they punched back, and you have to give credit where it's due. And I think it's more likely that the Thunder go ahead and win the series 4-1 than it is for the Nuggets to win.
Easily.
I would agree too.
Yeah. I said Thunder in 5, assuming that the Nuggets would pick off 1. I wasn't expecting it to be game 1, but yeah, like
they're just so complete. The Thunder.
Yeah.
They're so deep.
They don't have a single weakness to their roster except maybe just they need some extra playmaking. But even then,
John, do you have that box score up? Sorry, Chris. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Like besides maybe playmaking, which even then Shea's one of the better playmakers in the league. And if you have just a bunch of good 3-and-D guys, how much playmaking do you really need? Like,
John, how many turnovers did the Nuggets have that game?
20.
All right, that's less than I thought, but I mean it's still.
Well,
the slowed down too.
The Thunder did have like a bunch of deflections, though, if I'm not mistaken, as well, which you have to dive into the box score for that. But
playoff Russ was minus 30 in 21 minutes of play.
Who?
Playoff who?
Russ.
They're letting Russ be Russ. They just gotta let Russ be Russ.
He's like, shout out Russell Westbrook, man.
Thunder fans love him. You see him checking in?
No, I didn't.
Game 1. So Shea was at the line. They were chanting MVP. Then Russ checked in, and they just gave him a standing ovation. And Shea took the second free throw. The place was like erupts still.
Nice. So, yeah, not necessarily the best week for being Tatum over Shea, guys. But
he is not. Now he is not.
No, right now he is not. No. Yeah, like he still has time. He still has time. But you're walking on very thin ice, my guy. But even then, like if people still want to say Shea, if Tatum comes back and averages 35 for the next 4 games, and you still want to take Shea over Tatum, I'm more than fine with you saying that. By the way, but
I don't know. Jason Tatum is at the risk of being eliminated in the second round, which is SGA's playoff peak.
True. Yeah. At the same time, though, Shea's going. So he finished second MVP last year, and then he's going to win MVP this year. Is putting up better numbers in the playoffs this year. So the argument is getting a little tougher unless the Celtics find a way to go farther in the playoffs. And Tatum does more. So
it sucks because we thought we were going to be arguing with people about Tatum being like top 3.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're gonna have to fight for our lives about top 5.
Right. Which
I think the thing is with SGA is that obviously he's had a couple inefficient games this playoffs, but it's just he's so consistent.
Yeah.
And when he has a bad game, he bounces back. Like I feel like you rarely see 2 bad games in a row from SGA.
Which is usually the case with Tatum too, but unfortunately, I feel like his lows are a little bit lower than Shea's, though. His highs are higher than Shea's as well, but that's unfortunately what it is for Tatum. Is that his highs are as high as anyone else in the league besides Jokic, but his lows are unfortunately lower than most superstars. Which
it's a very fair take.
which is unfortunately, yeah, like which is we actually talked about this on NBA Max on Sunday night. We weren't talking about Tatum. We were talking about actually Steph Curry when we said like when comparing him to top 10 to other top 10 players, top 12 players actually more specifically, his lows are probably lower than anyone else. But 2016 MVP Steph is as good as anyone else besides LeBron, Steph, or Shaq, LeBron, MJ, or Shaq in our opinion. But yeah, we do have one more series to cover. That is Golden. Speaking of Steph Curry, that was totally intentional.
Transition, Chris.
Yeah. Speaking of Steph Curry, the Warriors will be playing the Timberwolves tonight. Yeah, tonight. Yeah, tonight. Unfortunately,
the Wolves were up 8-0.
To
start the game.
It's already 8:30.
They were up 13-0. Now they're
13-0.
They're up 25-10 now.
Okay, yeah, 25-10.
Where is playoff for me?
Yeah, the Warriors are the Warriors were lucky to close out the win on Tuesday. Keep getting my days wrong. Yeah, it was on Tuesday. Without Steph Curry for most of the game, so props to them. But it's not like if Steph Curry's gonna, they said reevaluated within a week. That doesn't mean he's gonna be back in a week. I'm thinking they're lucky if he's back by game. It's a miracle if he's back by game 5. They're lucky if he's back by game 6 if they make it to game 6. But so it's with the hamstring injury, which hamstring injuries are,
they linger.
Yeah, they linger for sure. Yeah, it was hamstring. Yeah. As someone who back in high school, I strained my hamstring from squatting too much. Actually, it was really painful.
Little flex by AH right there.
It was no, it was actually when I was it was very clumsy. It was like I squatted down 225. I went to go walk the rack in. The barbell reached in the left side, but then it didn't reach in the right side. So I went to go put it down, and then I literally just fell down like that. It was it was very painful. But
those who's listening, Chris is lying about 225. It was really 555. So
yeah, I didn't want to flex too much there, but
255 on each side.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So yeah, without Steph, the Warriors' path to winning the series is very it's going to take it's going to take Jimmy Butler averaging 30 a game, which he hasn't done since 2020 probably. Like the 2020 finals, I think is the last series they averaged over 30. I could be actually no, it was he probably did average in the first round against the Bucks in 2023. Now that I think about it, but it's been pretty it's been a pretty tough go for the Warriors. They turned their season around after trading for Jimmy. I just don't see a path to victory for the Warriors pending a counter injury with the Timberwolves. But I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
I would agree. The Timberwolves obviously aren't I mean they have a lot of very solid 3-and-D guys, including Naz Reid, who's a spark plug off the bench. I think he shot close to 40%, if not over 40% from 3 this year. Jaden McDaniels is a little streaky, but he can knock it down. And Anthony Edwards hit the most threes in the NBA this year. They, in the last 2 games, I mean, the Celtics are really trying their hardest to beat this record, but they missed the most threes in NBA history. Maybe the Celtics did. I forget what the stat is.
Definitely did.
Something broken.
No, the percentage wise, I forget what it was.
Percentage.
I think they're someone has to look up the box score. Yeah, the Wolves have shot unbelievably bad from 3 the past couple games. I think something breaks here. I think reversion to the mean happens. I think they do shoot well for the rest of the series, if not the next couple of games. And I think it's just too much firepower for the Warriors to handle without Steph Curry. I'm not going to do a victory lap yet because it is 1-1, but I did predict a Thunder Wolves Western Conference Finals.
It's 1-0.
Yes, 1-0. I'm getting ahead of myself. 1-0. Anything can happen in the playoffs.
That's for sure, unfortunately. All right. So, that's all we had on the agenda. But, however, I can't imagine that many mothers watch this podcast. Our own mother doesn't watch this podcast, which by the way, we're not blaming her for that. It would be a lot for her to watch this. She's a very busy lady. Works full time, but yeah, we do appreciate the support that she does give us through this pod, and that's obviously just being an amazing mother. So happy Mother's Day to our mother and to all the other mothers out there. I don't think there is a single mother that watches this show. A couple, actually, I take them. A couple of my coworkers My 50-year-old coworkers have tuned into one episode, and the common theme is usually, "Oh, Chris, I actually watched one of your videos. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I only watched about 5 minutes of it, but you seem like you know what you're talking about." So, yeah, we do appreciate all the mothers who do tune in, whether it's 5 minutes or it's every episode. But I have a feeling that most of them isn't really that often, but we do appreciate them regardless. Cool.
Chris,
John,
very
yeah.
nice. To shout out the moms.
Of course, yeah. That's what we got to do.
Classic.
Yeah. So, John, we're looking forward to having you home this weekend. You coming tomorrow or Saturday?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Nice. Cool. All right. Awesome.
I probably would have come home tonight, but big day at work tomorrow. I got to head to the office. So.
Okay. Oh, yikes. Okay. Yeah.
On a Friday?
I'm a big Friday in office guy. I have a lot of, I messed around too much the first couple months of my job. I was, very poor at it because I was new. And now I'm like not so bad. So people like rely on me, and now I have to like do work Fridays. It's brutal.
Yeah, I had that stretch where I had to do some work, but then they realized that the entry level guy that hasn't worked for a year isn't too great at his job. So I'm back to not mattering that much. So I'm at a good spot right now.
That was me as well. We had our class trip to the Liberty Science Center, and the person who's in charge of putting the groups together, she said, "Chris, this is your first year doing field trips, so we'll give you the easiest group possible." Which they gave me the 11 very, very quiet girls. So it was a very nice day for me that I didn't have to monitor any behavior. So that was very nice.
I have a non-basketball question for you guys. I have actually a work question.
Okay.
So my birthday's on Wednesday. Do you guys ever take off on your birthday or the day after or something like that?
I did it a lot. Through the first 4 years of my career, I think I did it 3 out of 4, if not 4 out of 4. And then I actually started this job on July 8th last year.
That was tough.
So I had and this was when I was commuting from Jersey. So it was, and I couldn't work from home. That. Brutal.
I remember that.
I had 2 hours to celebrate my birthday, and then I just went to sleep. However, this year already took off, and we're going to the midnight release of Superman the day before.
Let's go.
We will be there.
Yeah, we very pumped. Matt, to answer your question, so this is my third year teaching. My first year teaching, I did not take off because it was field day. I was obviously not going to take off field day. Why would you do that? Yeah. And this year and last year, my birthday is Memorial Day weekend, so
nice.
Don't need to take off those days. I do have I do think that my birthday is around that time is the best one to have, because I either have off or I'm in a week where we're not doing any work anyway. So
you have an elite. You and John has summer birthday, then you have Memorial Day weekend birthday, 2 elite birthdays.
Very
Mine's
nice.
on a Wednesday this year, so I don't know if I'm gonna take off or anything like that.
Yeah, maybe.
You should have taken all 3 days. How many days do you get off?
A year?
Yeah. No, 4 years.
I didn't know if you're talking about how many I had left or just in general. I don't know why you would care how many I had left, but I believe it's a month. I believe it's 20 days?
Okay. Oh, nice. So, dude, you should have taken off Wednesday through Friday.
Maybe I will. My boss is pretty cool with late PTO requests, so we'll see.
I'm looking forward to my job, to where they give us 10 sick days, 3 personal days. I've used all my personal days and 1 sick days. And 1 sick day, so those 9 remaining are going to roll over into next year. It's why I have 22 days to take, and it's only going to get the longer I stay, the bigger it's going to get.
Shout out to our dad.
Shout out to our dad, who has literally 200 sick days or something like that. It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, and then he's back on the IR. He's back off the IR now. He's getting healthy, but he had a little ankle injury, not a little ankle injury. He had an ankle injury, and he was debating on going to work when he could barely walk. You have 1 million sick days. Take one. When our mom is telling you to take a day off, you have to take a day off. That should be the rule.
I 100% agree.
Do you, hey Matt's playing on your birthday.
What time?
7.
Oh, okay, so I could just. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Let's put a pin on that. That is Game 5 of the Celtics series, though, so maybe not. But
good call, Chris.
That's the only thing. But
we're gonna watch the Celtics go up 3-2 that day.
Yes, we will. All right, John, Matt. this was better than I thought. Yeah, it was a quick therapy session. We were able to let out our thoughts. I hope you guys are feeling a little bit better, even just a little bit. No, not at all. Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's nice talking to you guys.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
I feel like I ranted for like 30 minutes, and I still have so much more to say.
Yeah, that's
I'm just gonna like repeat it to myself like a mental patient for the next 3 days or 2 days.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
So I have one more. I have one more thing.
Okay.
So the guy, shout out Dylan, who got a new job. He left my bank that I work at. But the desk next to me is empty, and then the cubicle next to me is where my boss used to sit. He was a temp worker, now he's a full-time worker, so he got his own office. So nobody sits around me anymore, and thank God nobody does, because I sighed more than I ever have today. I was so cranky in my cubicle. Anyone that walked by just got hit with negative vibes. So we got through today. Tomorrow will be more positive vibes. New Pope.
Friday.
New Pope. Yeah. New Pope.
Friday. Celtics cut down the series.
They're saying it benefits the Knicks because he's from he's like he wants Nova and everything. But let's be honest, Irish Celtics far more represents than the New York Knicks. So I'll talk myself into that narrative instead.
Joe Mazzulla is a
Loves
aggressive
God.
Loves
yes,
God.
he is.
Loves
Yeah.
Luke Cornett loves God.
He sure does. Yeah, all those guys do. So that's what we're hoping for sure. All right, but until then, we'll see you next week. Hopefully, when the Celtics are up 3-2. Make sure to follow me on all social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. You can see it down the bottom right. All of them are written differently. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a consensus there. Still haven't been able to. In additional context, check us out on Sundays at 10 o'clock. I haven't heard that we're not. I think we are going live on Sunday anyway because it's late enough that we do spend the day with our mothers. And other than that, take a look at my column on primetimesportstalk.com. Until then, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a good night, everyone.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.